All right, we're going to see if we can knock this out during the time span of a short. So, first off, we don't really owe the left an apology if this guy happened to be the actual shooter against Charlie Kirk. The main reason is because, and I'm taking this stance because I used to be a very democratic viewing individual, is because you are still promoting and celebrating violence, okay? Now, we're going to take a step back for a second. I promote violence. I advocate for violence. The difference is I'm advocating violence against the real problem of this country, which is not an individual. It's not a singular problem. The problem itself is the entire entity that is the government structure that exists. The things that use regulation under the guise of safety for the purpose of taxation. So the difference between you and me is what's known as radicalization. I'm not radicalized against an individual or a structure outside of what has demonstrated to be the critical problem of the entire United States of America. Okay, say that as a veteran, someone who has served under the federal government and has also worked at a VA, which continued my federal employee status for an additional 2 years. So, that being said, you have to take the step back and realize that radicalism is the key component in this entire thing. There's radicalism on the left, and there's radicalism on the right. And that word really does saturate the political regime that is going on. And I say regime because it's on both sides. Both sides are propagating a war. There's potential that because this person was a right-wing mindset individual, that this was a potential deep state inside job, just like a potential that could have happened with Trump. So if the right would go out of their way to assassinate someone who is basically a political figurehead for that hemisphere, and I'm not saying that's the case, I'm saying let's do a hypothetical and assume that the left isn't entirely insane and give some credence to a potential hypothetical. What you still have to recognize is that it's radicalism on both sides that are going to propagate an actual war. Again, I advocate for violence against the actual problem. It's not the people who are the problem. Most people can have normal conversations similar to what Charlie Kirk was trying to do on a national scale. A lot of people don't have the intelligence to have that. A lot of people reflect more on their emotions and let their emotions carry over, and then that devolves into saying, fuck you, punch someone in the face, or if you're weak, you pull out a gun and you shoot someone. Now, I am very pro-advocate for guns because, not just being a veteran, I live in an area, Chicago, where I've had times where I've needed to have a gun. I'll leave it at that. So, I don't really think we owe the left an apology, and I don't really think the right deserves one either. But the point is, radicalism is the problem. And until you stop advocating for violence against the wrong people, it's going to continue being